Woo! What's going on, guys? Owner's Forum coming today with another video. Today's video is one of those videos that I hate doing. The Detroit Lions are a mash unit. When I say mash unit, meaning that we got so many injuries. It's we got bodies laying all over the floor, all over the place. They're losing players at a ridiculous rate. They got about 20 plus guys on the IR right now. We'll talk about those guys. 16 of those, I think, or 15 of those are on the defensive side of the ball. 5 or 6 on offense. Still kind of waiting on David Montgomery. He's trying to get a third opinion on whether he's good enough to come back eventually. But I don't think it's going to happen. I think he's eventually going to go on IR, season-ending surgery, whatever. Apparently he's going to try to go overseas or hyperbaric chamber. He's trying to do some type of voodoo. I don't even know. I don't even really know, but apparently it's a third opinion. And when you start hearing about third opinions, obviously the first and second ones are something that you didn't want to hear. So, injuries, we got them. Let's add another 3 players to the IR list for sure. Just after we get back, guys, for that Buffalo Bills game, I think we got Levi Onwuzurike, DJ Reader, Taylor Decker, Pascal. They came back. We lose 4 more. And 4 more probably on the IR, 3 for sure. So, we're waiting on Montgomery for some reason. But the guys that got hurt for that game, defensive tackle Lee McNeil with a knee injury. Cornerback 1, Carlton Davis with a jaw injury. There was a chance that he wasn't going to go on IR, or short term anyways, and possibly a 4-week. But maybe he can still come back, apparently, with that jaw injury. He broke his jaw. We'll see what happens there. Then cornerback Khalil Dorsey, a special teams guy, our kick returner, a backup to guys like Carlton Davis. Obviously, he came in for Carlton Davis that game and just broke his leg. Ran into somebody, broke his leg. I don't remember if it was a Lion that he ran into. If it was a Lion or if it was a Buffalo Bill. But I know he just ran into someone and snapped his leg in half. His ankle and his leg. Insane. And then obviously running back David Montgomery, MCL, knee, IR. We're waiting, like I said. He got hurt during that game, finished the game, went out for a little while. Wasn't doing anything, by the way. He had 4 carries or 5 carries for 4 yards, and just couldn't get it going. He came back and finished the game, but Gibbs was the main guy, at least catching the ball in the backfield. He didn't have a great day running the ball either. But he finished that football game after he got hurt, Montgomery, and ended up getting bad news the next day. It was bad enough that we heard about guys like, McNeil, Carlton Davis. They're two studs, by the way. 2 studs on defense. And then you hear about Khalil Dorsey, on Sunday night, and you're like, oh my God. And then Monday morning you wake up to the news, or Monday afternoon, it didn't happen until later. Monday afternoon, you're hearing about David Montgomery possibly being out for the year too as well. It was just a kick in the balls. So, so that's a lot of guys on IR. Let's talk about these guys on IR. It's a total of 20 guys right now on IR, apparently. 20 guys. It could be 21. Waiting on the news on Dave Montgomery, like I said. But let's go on the IR list. Let's check them out. By the way, safety Afiero Melifonwu got elevated to the 53-man roster. He practiced today, his first practice in a while. They opened up his 21-day window. He's back to practicing. So he's elevated. He's there. So we'll find out what happens with him. But he's healthy right now, and we really need him to stay healthy. But let's go to the IR list. Offensively, place kicker Michael Badgley, wide receiver Khalif Raymond, who was a starter, offensive tackle Connor Galvin, practice squad guy, wide receiver Antoine Green, a fifth wide receiver, a practice squad guy, and then offensive guard Natane Mutai, who was actually having a really good camp when he got hurt back in June, July, whatever it was, August, June or July. I forget when it was when he hurt himself, but those are the guys that are on IR right now. That's 5 guys waiting on David Montgomery. Like I said, the running back, another starter. So it could be possibly 6, but it's 5 at the moment. Now, defensively, the list is long. Linebacker Alec Anzalone, a starter. Linebacker Malcolm Rodriguez, a guy that gets significant snaps, who has been a starter on this football team. Cornerback Khalil Dorsey, a special teamer, kick returner, a backup at the cornerback position, gets snaps. Defensive end Aiden Hutchinson, you know about that, superstar, starter. Linebacker Jalen Reeves-Maben, who's a guy that gets snaps, a special teams ace. Cornerback, rookie, Enos Rakestraw Jr., hasn't really done anything yet. Defensive tackle, Aleem McNeil, starter, got paid this year. A really good defensive tackle who can push the pocket, play the run, get to the quarterback a little bit. He's gone. Defensive end, Marcus Davenport, another starter. Linebacker, Derek Barnes, who was started off the year as the starter and has started for this football team, and a guy that gets a lot of snaps. Cornerback, Carlton Davis III, a starter at corner, our CB1, by the way. Defensive end, Nate Lynn, a practice squad guy who's playing well and who was playing pretty well in the spring for those preseason games. The defensive end, John Kaminsky, a guy that was possibly coming back, but I guess the news came out today that he's not coming back anytime soon, so I don't expect him to come back this year. We were kind of hoping for a late December, maybe, for like the last game of the year, playoffs, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. So he has started some games for the Lions as well, too, and he's a guy that was eating up snaps as well, too, part of a rotation. Then defensive tackle, rookie, Mekhi Wingo, got some snaps, too. Didn't get a lot of playing time as a rookie. He was a late-round pick. You guys know all about him. But he's a guy that was getting some picks, and hopefully that was going to get better. He's gone. Defensive tackle Kyle Pico, who was starting some games for the Lions at nose tackle, kind of defensive tackle spot as well. You know, when DJ Reader went down, Kyle Pico was supposed to be the guy that was going to come in. I think he played a game or two. I forget when he went down, but he's a guy that got significant snaps. He's a little bit of a starter as well. The defensive tackle, David Bada, a practice squad defensive tackle that hasn't done much in the NFL. So that's 15 guys right now. 15 on the IR for defense. 6 starters, basically. 5 that got significant snaps. You can even say 7 or 8 starters if you want to, because Rodriguez has started some games here. He started his whole rookie season pretty much. And, has got some significant snaps before he went down, too, with injuries. You know, he was filling in really nicely for guys like Barnes, Jalen Reeves-Maben, those type of guys that all went down. We've lost like 4 or 5 linebackers. It's just, it's out of control. It's out of control, and I hate doing these type of videos, man. But we got to do them. Like, I held off so long on it that I have to do it. So now we're going to look at who's replacing who. Let's go off with defensive tackle Aleem McNeil. I'm not going to talk about numbers. I'm not going to get into stats too much. I might throw a couple out here and there, but I'm not going to get too heavily into the number game. Okay, not going to talk. I'm going to try to stay focused and try to just talk about these 4 guys that we lost. I'm not going to talk about Hutch. I'm not going to talk about Anzalone, Barnes. I'm going to try to keep it to the 4 guys we just lost against the Bills. Now McNeil, his replacements. Who's going to come in? McNeil is a guy, that's not going to. I'm not going to talk about numbers, but I'm going to say this. He's a guy that can push the pocket, play the run very well, a mountain of a man, a very athletic defensive tackle, by the way. A very athletic defensive tackle who worked on his pass rush coming into his 3rd year last year and showed significant improvement. Got himself a big contract because of it, but a guy that is banged up a lot now. Now he's another guy on this team that can't stay healthy. And he's a really good football player. So who's his replacements? Levi Enriquez out there. Miles Adams, who we just called up. Could it be Jonah Williams that they called up too? He's more of a DN though. Pat O'Connor, who's played well in spots. And then Broderick Martin, who I absolutely hated that pick. I still do. I still don't like it. But now he's gonna get an opportunity. He's a young kid. Levi's young. Miles Adams is kind of young. Pat O'Connor, they've been around a little bit, those 2. But they're still fairly young. I think Levi and Broderick being the youngest of the bunch, the puppies of that group. And then you got guys on the practice squad like Chris Smith, defensive tackle. So who comes in and replaces McNeil. My guess is going to be Levi and Miles Adams. I think are going to be the two lead guys there. Pat O'Connor, maybe some snaps. Martin's going to get an opportunity. I don't know if he'll dress though. I just don't think he's good enough. I know a lot of people do like him. I'm not one of them. I thought he was a reach, especially where he went. Like if you would have grabbed him in the 5th, 6th round, fine. But you grabbed him in the 3rd, and the guy can, he's hurt. He can't crack the roster, healthy scratch, all the above. And then defensive tackle Chris Smith, who kind of been around a little bit too for the past few years, who has played in some games. So my guess is Levi Onwuzurike and Miles Adams. That's my guess. They are not Aleem McNeil, but they are probably the closest to that we're going to get. Pat O'Connor is probably going to get some looks too as well. I already said that. And then cornerback Khalil Dorsey. He's a backup corner. He's a kick returner. Number 1 kick returner, by the way. So now they kind of got a kick returner. Maurice Alexander again. Could they use Sione Vaikai? Could they use a couple other guys? Could J-Mo go back there? I don't know if they really want to do that. But they got some. Maurice Alexander is pretty much your kick returner and your punt returner now. Obviously he's Maurice Alexander is coming in for a punt returner for Khalif Raymond, but for kick returner it was Khalil Dorsey. Now it's going to be Maurice Alexander, and they barely kick to the guys anyways. So, but he is your new kick returner, Maurice Alexander, at the moment is my guess. But when it comes to defensive snaps on the football field, who is it going to be? Right now, your CB2, your cornerback 2, is Kindell Vildor. That's who it is. That is our cornerback 2 at the moment. Could Emmanuel Mosley come in there? I think he's more nickel too. But could he win the job over Vildor? They just signed Stanley Thomas Oliver, a guy that's been around a little bit, not old though. I think he was a Carolina Panther at one point. They got rookie Maurice Norris. That's on the practice squad. Could he get called up? That's the backup spot. That's the backup spot. So, that I'm more concerned with the backup spot there, but I'm more concerned about the special teams because I think he's a gunner too. I'm pretty sure that Khalil Dorsey is a gunner. So who will be doing that now? Sione Vaikai? I think he was taking snaps at gunner as well during spring. Somebody might want to look in the comments or like tell me in the comments. I should have looked that up. It was a while ago though, but Sione Vaki, whatever, could be your new gunner. I'm pretty sure Dorsey was our gunner 1. I could be wrong though. But hey, that's a guy that is a special teams guy and that was getting a lot of snaps. Now that's gone. Now Carlton Davis III, your CB1. Now, like I said, this kind of goes back to Dorsey. Now, Carlton Davis, his replacement is going to be Kindell Vildor at the moment. That's who it is. He's your cornerback 2. Terrion Arnold, the rookie out of Alabama, is your cornerback 1, who's not ready, but is playing better. He didn't have a great game last week. Nobody did on defense. But at least Terrion Arnold is your 1. Vildor is your 2. Help us, everybody. Now, like I said, Emmanuel Mosley, could he get some snaps? Stanley Thomas Oliver from the practice squad and rookie Maurice Norris from the practice squad as well, too. Could they get some significant snaps now as well? I don't think they're going to steal anybody's job, especially Oliver and Norris. Mosley, if he ever stays healthy, it's a guy that can't stay healthy at all. Now there's another kind of a sleeper guy that I kind of like. Could they call up an extra safety? And when I say that, they like to play 3-4 safeties sometimes at once. That it just all depends on what they're kind of running on defense. Obviously Kirby Joseph, Brian Branch are going to be your guys right there. Those are your 2 dogs. Could they move Brandon Joseph in there? Could they move Brian Branch to the nickel? Move out Amik Robertson to the outside? Could he be an outside guy? Could he take Carlton Davis's spot? Not saying he'd be cornerback 1, but he might be a better option than Kindell Vildor at this time. They got a lot of stuff to think about. Now, there's a guy that I'm thinking of that's on this practice squad who I liked is Eric Hallett, the rookie out of Pittsburgh. He's a Pittsburgh Panther. Jacksonville Jaguars drafted this kid last year, 2023, in the 6th round. He's a guy that really didn't get a lot of significant snaps his first couple years in his collegiate career at Pittsburgh. Okay, he's a guy that kind of didn't win the job until maybe like in the third year, 4th year for sure. He's a 5-year guy. He was a redshirt in like 2018, so he did the 5-year program. Okay, 4 years of stats though. That's it. Just 4 years of stats, but he was a redshirt in 2018. They like Lawrence Strickland, another rookie safety, I think a little bit better, but keep an eye on Eric Hallett. Now, I'm not saying he's going to get called up or anything like that, but my guess is I think he's a little more of a playmaker than Lawrence Strickland, just in my opinion. Just in my opinion, just from like looking at some tape a little bit from a while ago. I didn't really get into it on this one, like the last couple days, but just from looking at his tape before, he's a guy that just never cracked the roster in Jacksonville. For whatever reason, they waived him, let him go. We picked him up and put him right on the practice squad. So he's a guy that has some capability. He's a 5-year guy in college, Pittsburgh Panther, 168 tackles, 8 tackles for loss, 24 pass breakups, pass deflections, 4 fumble recoveries, 4 forced fumbles, 8 interceptions, a touchdown. He played 49 games too. He was involved in 49 games, so he was relatively healthy. Didn't start really the first 2-3 years though. Okay, didn't really start. His last couple of years he started getting in more. Started like his whole last year of college at Pittsburgh. Year before he got into like 12 games or whatever it was. He's been fairly healthy, like I said. He's got some playmaking ability at 5'11", 195 pounds. Not the biggest safety, but could he get moved to corner? Could they bring him up as a kind of like a guy? They still have Brandon Joseph on this team too, on the 53-man roster, who I really liked coming here as an undrafted free agent, another safety. He played at Northwestern, Notre Dame. I think it was Northwestern. He was really good at Northwestern. Pretty sure that was the team. He had like, most of his playmaking abilities was at Northwestern, not so much as at Notre Dame as last year when he transferred. He was better, I thought, at the other school than he was at Notre Dame. So, but I'm just saying, keep an eye out for Eric Hallett. Okay, just keep an eye out for him. Probably not going to happen. I don't know what they're going to do, but they are in dire trouble in the cornerback room now. And then David Montgomery, guys, this is the last one. Now you got Jahmyr Gibbs, you got Craig Reynolds, Sione Vaki, Dan Campbell coming out and kind of saying that Reynolds and Vaki are going to be basically your number 2 running backs. It's going to be split between those guys. Okay? And then you got Jermar Jefferson. You got Scotty Montgomery, the running backs coach, who came out just today and said, don't be surprised if we can get something out of Jermar Jefferson as well. In my opinion, I think Jermar Jefferson is more talented than Craig Reynolds and Sione Vaki. Okay? I think he is. He's a guy that had some injuries in college. He got drafted late. He was really good his rookie year at Oregon State Beavers. Like 1,300 yards, double-digit touchdowns. He catch the ball a little bit. He's not the biggest guy. They're all about the same size, like Reynolds, Vaki, and Jefferson. They're all kind of the same size at about 215 to 220 pounds. I think Reynolds might be the biggest one at 216, 217. But they're all similar size. Now, nobody is David Montgomery, okay? None of these guys are going to be David Montgomery. David Montgomery is a guy that's 1,000+ yards on the ground. He was catching the ball like he was in Chicago prior to coming to Detroit. He had like 35, 40 catches already on the year. He was a guy that was probably going to surpass 1,500 to 1,600 yards as a total. The total yards, Jahmyr Gibbs, kind of the same thing. If you go look at Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery's numbers, even their attempts, their carries, they're identical. I think Gibbs had 185 and Montgomery had like 186. So Ben Johnson had these guys as 1A, 1B. Now, we're going to see a lot more of Gibbs. And I'm not saying Gibbs is going to be the guy that's going to come in and get 25 to 30 carries. You might see that in some games. Can he hold up? We don't really know. We're not too sure. It's never happened. We've had the luxury of having pretty much 2 RB1s on our football team. Now we don't have that. We got 1 RB1 who's a superstar, by the way. Jahmyr Gibbs is a superstar. Whether anybody wants to not believe it or believe it, he is a superstar. He's legitimate. He's a guy that's got like 1,100 yards. He's got like 40 catches or whatever he's got, 30-something catches, 40, 50 catches. I forget what the numbers were exactly. You know, he's already surpassed his yardage from last year. He's already surpassed total touchdowns from last year. He is a superstar now. He's not in the making. It's not in the future. That's what he is. And he's going to take, he is leading that room now. He is the guy, Jahmyr Gibbs. My situation, my problem is, are Vaki, Reynolds, even a Jamar Jefferson going to be enough to still have a top offense? I think we're still going to have a top offense, but now I see Goff passing more. I see more JMO. I see more Laporta. I see more Amon-Ra St. Brown. And that's not a bad thing. More Tim Patrick. It's not a bad thing. But it throws a wrench in the plans. It does. Now, all these guys are irreplaceable. Every guy that I kind of mentioned, except for Khalil Dorsey, I think you can get away with a couple things there. You know, but you might have to shuffle. You might have to shuffle some things. Even though Dorsey's not a bad player. He's not a bad player. He's a backup for a reason. He's a special team guy. So you're going to lose that. You're going to lose at him being a legitimate backup, which he is, and a legitimate special teams guy. A good special teams player. We're losing that. I think we can replace that more than we can replace a McNeil. You can't replace a Carlton Davis at the time. You can't replace a McNeil, and you can't replace a David Montgomery. This team has been absolutely littered with injuries. I've never seen anything like it. And people want to point fingers at the coaches, and the coaching staff. You know, you're working them too hard. You're doing this, you're doing that. I kind of understand that. I personally don't think it's a personal trainer thing, like, you know, the staff, the strength and conditioning coaches. I'm not on that train where I'm blaming those guys. Maybe there is something that those guys did not do properly. I've done podcasts with Tom Rath, who's kind of said that, hey man, maybe something needs to be done, like from that kind of standpoint, where you really need to like look at or point of view, whatever, where you need to look at the training staff and ask what the hell is going on. My whole thing with that though is, why is it like 15 or 16 on defense and only 5 or 6 on offense? What's going on? What's going on? People want to blame the turf, the field turf at Ford Field. I don't know, when you break your jaw, when you get run into, and you get your leg broke, happened to Hutch outside, happened at Dallas, Dorsey just got ran into, leg snapped. I have a hard time placing blame on training staff and strength and conditioning coaches. I really do. Now, it's not my field. So I don't really know what the hell, I'm really saying when it comes to that. But my opinion is that's not the issue. I don't think that's the issue, especially when it's so one-sided on defense and then offense is not. Like they're taking care of just the offensive guys and not the defensive guys. I have a very big issue with that. So I just think it's horrible, horrific luck. Almost to the point of we're still cursed. It's not SOL or anything like that, but there's a curse there. And this is not me bitching, crying, saying, oh my God, look at us, we're not going to win the Super Bowl. But there is a big part of me that thinks it's not over, but we are on the struggle bus now. You would have asked me this question 6-7 weeks ago about were we going to the Super Bowl? I would have let you even finish the sentence. I would have said 100% we are. There's nobody in the NFC that is going to touch us. Even with Minnesota playing well, Green Bay kind of hanging around. We beat them twice. We already beat Minnesota. We've beaten Chicago. We're 4-0 in the division. The Eagles are tough. The Washington Commanders are kind of hanging around. You know what I mean? I think the Eagles are the best team in the NFC, though. Don't get me wrong. And Minnesota's right there. As much as Lions fans don't want to admit it, now they're right there. We're half a game up on that football team. Now we have to win out to win the 1 seed, probably to win the North. And that's a whole other video. But if you were to ask me now, are we Super Bowl bound? I can't tell you yes. I can't. Not until I see what's going on now. Because now, if you notice, the last few games that are going on, we have been getting dragged defensively. It started pretty much in that Chicago game in the second half. Where they played great in the first half. Everybody was shocked because it was like a makeshift defense. Second half, boom. Green Bay, Love did his thing. Jacobs with 3 touchdowns, lots of yards, lots of touchdowns, scoring 30 plus. Buffalo comes into town. Now everybody's not Josh Allen, don't get me wrong. Not everybody's going to be Josh Allen. We're not going up against Josh Allen this week in Chicago. I still think we're going to have to score 30 points. I still think we're going to have to score 30 plus. And now I just think we're going to have to do it through the rest of the season. Now I think we have a Super Bowl contending team. We 100% have a Super Bowl contending team. I really do think that. But now it's not going to be, and I never thought it was going to be easy. Okay, so I kind of want to watch my words a little bit on that. But I never thought it was going to be easy, but I really liked the trajectory on how we were going at one point. Now these injuries have gotten completely out of control. Now they are completely out of control now. We have lost over 20 players on IR, and like 10 of them are significant players. Maybe more. Like half of our defense, over half of our defense is possibly gone. It is gone. Now we got guys coming back. Anzalone coming back. Could Carlton Davis make a late return in the playoffs? Rodriguez ain't coming back. Barnes I don't think is coming back. Kaminsky's not coming back. Anzalone, Emmanuel Mosley, he's been healthy, but he's been a healthy scratch. Who else? Dorsey gone. Rodriguez gone. Hutch just came out today and said that he's back for the Super Bowl 100%. You got to get there, bro. Jalen Reed-Maybin, don't know nothing about him really. I think his window's open though, not 100%. But Davenport gone. Barnes, Davis maybe later. Kaminsky, Mackay, Kyle Pico. These guys are all gone. And it's concerning to me. I'm not throwing in the towel. I'm really not. But it's really concerning. We can't lose another starter. Not one more. It's already gone off the rails. It's already off the rails. It can't get any worse. If it gets any worse, it's over. Then I will throw in the towel. I don't want to, man. I don't want to throw in the towel. I really don't. But I've never seen anything. Has anybody ever seen injuries like this? I don't think this has happened. I know people talk about the 2010 Packers. And they say, man, they won with 15 guys on IR. Okay, 15. We got 20-something, 21 possibly guys, 22 guys. Give me a break. You know what I mean? I thought I just saw something on the David Montgomery coming up here too, though. I don't know. But that's it, guys. This is a crazy long video, almost 30 minutes, 28 and change. Going to get up to 29 soon. But I appreciate it, guys. I had to go on this rant. I had to talk about this. I don't want to talk about injuries, but this is an issue in Detroit right now. These next 3 games are gigantic, and they're going to be measuring sticks on how we're going to be in the playoffs. Now, Chicago's not a playoff team. San Francisco's not a playoff team, but they can be dangerous. Sometimes they're weird. They're like a Wolverine backed into a corner, and then the Minnesota Vikings. There's your big game of the year. I think we can squeak by the Bears and the 49ers, and it's going to come down to Minnesota. So hopefully some guys come back, but that's it, guys. I appreciate it. It's a really long video. I appreciate you guys coming in and watching it. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button at the bottom right. Don't forget the notification bell up top. Don't forget to like, comment, share it out. Injuries, hate talking about it, not bitching about it, but it's a reality, and it needs to be spoken about. Thanks, guys. Detroit Lions, grit, Detroit versus everybody. Boom.